that the Roman Catholic Church fucks kids, because they're a
Well,
cult.
let's also not forget about the other cult that's even larger than the Roman Catholic Church and has even more schools where more children go. Public schools.
Thank you.
There are far more children getting abused and having there's far more opportunity for abuse in the public schools. There's 10 times as many, and they have, of course, go unreported. People trust the public school because daddy government provides it.
Norm Macdonald had a bit about it in his stand-up. He used to roast teachers, and he got heckled by a teacher, and he's like, what's funny is the only profession that abuses more kids than priests is teachers.
That's brilliant and true.
It's true, though.
It's horrendous. My wife spent all of her careering in her schooling in public school.
Mm-hmm.
And as an Air Force kid, she went from place to place, and never had all the experiences that many people listening who had military growings up know what that's like, right? Yeah. I also grew up in a military family, Air Force also, where my dad moved all over the damn place. But I was homeschooled, and my mom and dad chose to homeschool me primarily because of the religious reasons, and by that I mean they believed in that evolution on a big level doesn't happen. Donkeys don't become, in their opinion, donkeys don't become frogs, and apes don't become humans, and turkeys don't become all this stuff. So their view of it, of creationism particularly, was the crux, not the other things, because their view was, he needs to learn how to use his dick, so sex ed is fine. I'd rather, and also, like my mom and dad would say this regularly, it's like, you're gonna know how to use your shit before some shithead at the fucking school is gonna show you anyway. So fine, teach sex ed. My mom and dad were like, generally, it's better that you know how to use this shit than not. So, I'm not okay with putting illicit, nude, upright adult humans doing sex in front of minors without consent. That's fucking heinous. That's pornography. That's child endangerment.
Mm-hmm. That's grooming.
That's fucked up. That's grooming for being a good yes man. That's what that is. And by the way, if I'm going to get on this fucking rant for a second, that's exactly what public school fucking is. It's preparation to be a good yes man. You need to learn how to clock the fuck in. You need to learn how to wake the fuck up, because if you're not a good team player. You're not a good part of the fucking system. And that shit was pushed in the early 20s and 30s, and then the 40s and 50s happened.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what happened in the 40s and fucking 50s in our country and all over the fucking world. Am I saying that public school is preparation for a world war? No, but I'm saying that the tools that the fucked up government that starts World War III will use will be the students of fucking today.
Mm-hmm.
The tools of the propaganda machine for tomorrow will be the students of today. Because I'm not allowed to say to my daughter, hey, come here, sweetie. I'm not allowed to say that in public because sweetie has gender connotations to it. And I'm coaxing and training my child that these binary gender terms are good and profitable. And if I do anything other than that, I'm being hateful. And people can come into my home and fuck with me and tell me what I can smoke. They can tell me what I can drink. They tell me what I can eat. Fuck you. Fuck that. I'm going to raise my kids the way I fucking want. And my daughter's 14, and I love to talk shit to public school parents who talk shit about homeschool parents. But it's rare that I meet them now.
I bet.
Now, like I'm 38. Now, most of the fucking parents that I meet that I tell I homeschool, they don't shit on me. They used to.
They're jealous that they can't do it.
They're like, dude, how the fuck did you do that? I'm stroking my beard for those not watching. How the fuck did you do that? Man, how is that happening? Like, what do you do when they have a question? You fucking answer it, you dunce. You go to the goddamn book, you open it the fuck up, and you learn. And we turn the fucking computer off.
I think
it's a huge thing.
I think test taking, we were talking about like standardized testing and everything, is such a crock of shit. Like it's to teach groups of kids that they can't use their resources. I have never had a job in my life where I had where I was sent to work on something and my boss said, if you go use your resources, you're fired. If you ask questions, if you try to look in like the employee handbook or whatever, you're fired. I've never had that happen. In fact, it's the opposite. Literally everywhere you work will encourage you to do two things: ask questions and use your resources. But for some reason, we just have to memorize shit and take these standardized tests that it's completely worthless.
Public school doesn't make smart humans.
No.
If it makes thinkers.
Compliant ones.
Exactly. If it makes thinkers, it doesn't accidentally.
Yep. They would have been anyway.
Exactly. They would have been smart motherfuckers to begin with.
Yeah.
But public school doesn't teach you how to think. It teaches you how to take good tests. It teaches you how to show up. It teaches you how to be a good team member. That's some bullshit.
You know what the problem is though? Is private schools and charter schools pretty much do the same thing because they just copied the model, except they made it cost $1 billion
and inserted religiosity.
It's not as bad, and they insert the religion. It's not as bad, but it's still they copied the model, and then they're going to charge you $1 billion for it.
Now, I will say, I don't want to totally shit on what you said because I veritably agree with almost everything you said, except for there are some private schools that. Like parochial schools and different kinds of like learning adjunct things that are really great. But then there are some that are really shitty, like what you said, that just simply they take a public school model, they insert Jesus or some other religious ideal, or even worse, the ones that are now popping up on the West and the East Coast, not in the Midwest yet. We haven't seen it yet, but maybe down in Austin where fucking Joe Rogan is. But on the East and the West right now, it's these these private schools that are coming out advertently as atheist. So they're adopting, in essence, they're the same fucking thing as the Christian schools. They have their own religion. Their religion is fuck God, right? It's like anti-Christ.
Oh, it's the neckbeards from the internet finally built their own schools.
Yeah, all those fucking idiots over at what was that? All those fuckheads at Chad. What was that place called? No,
Chaz.
Chaz. Yeah, all those fuckheads at Chaz. All the elders. They all started their own school. No, I'm joking about that last part, but the first part I am for real about. Like, there's a
like
good
even as an atheist, like why wouldn't you just have a school that was like all fact and science based and like evolution and all that?
That's called
you don't
public
need
school.
to shit on anybody else. You just have to say, hey, here's our point of view. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that Caleb just mentioned that because fuck what he just said as being wrong. You said, what'd you say?
That's called public school.
It's called public school, which it isn't. Because it isn't. It's not that. It's you think it's like all logic and reason
it's not
and
at
stuff
all.
and all this like it's not about that. They don't give a fuck about learning.
Dre, can you still hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I may need to like change the battery or something.
Oh, you're good. We'll just keep talking.
We'll keep talking.
Schools.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
So basically, like in my opinion, it doesn't cultivate like good scientific learning. Like any good thinkers, any people that have made technological advances in community, oftentimes, and like it's so much. What I'm about to say is so much so a thing that it's a joke. It's like, well, they failed every other class, but they passed this, like fucking Einstein and all these other, big-headed people. Like they're generally considered as the big heads in our culture, and yet still like Elon Musk is touted as like failing a lot of his courses in primary school.
Yeah, Einstein was too.
Right.
It's like, I mean, he thought shit was boring.
Exactly. And there's a fucking reason, by the way.
Yeah.
It's because they went to public school. Maybe they went to private school. Maybe they were entitled, but they still got the same basic fucking curriculum education.
Yeah.
Which is fucked. Again, the curriculum is not designed and intended to create thinkers.
No.
And learners. It's just it's intended to make you into a good compliant yes man.
Compliant. It's very much it's operated like a prison almost.
Dude,
I mean, you
really
get to go home,
dude.
Of course, but what campers, security guards, police officers, you got to be here at this time, and you can't leave between this and this period. You need a permission to use the restroom. I mean, they operate public schools like a prison. I'm not saying that it's the same thing as a prison. Don't take that out of context, but it's very much operated like one.
It's very much operated like it, and it's traumatic as hell because you look at like my oldest daughter's 14, and she's a writer, she's an artist, and she's published on Medium, she's published on Query, the Word, what are all the big
Word, did you say Word?
Word,
Microsoft Word.
She's published on Excel.
I'm published on PowerPoint.
She's on Excel. All the other clicky clicks one, that www.internet, that fast stuff down there.
Is this called Facebook?
She's published that bookie faces there. No, she's prolific. She's amazing. She writes 2 or 3 different articles a week. She's constantly engaging with socioeconomical issues. She's very, very much aware of like the racial tension in the world right now. She's
racial tension.
Oh, there's so much.
Oh, man. I didn't know.
Especially between the northern and southern Asians. They're fighting the most. It's not between the blacks and whites at all.
They hate each other.
They hate northern and southern Asians right now. That's what they prefer to be called, is Northern Asian, Southern Asian. They don't actually like any of those other nomenclatures that we use. They're fighting the most with one another right now. It's not even black and white.
No.
I mean, like if you were to watch Facebook like you and I watch, or Instagram or Twitter, we would think it's just about black and white, but it's actually the North Asians and the South Asians. They just like in Asian, S Asian, or just NASA. They just shorten it up when you're talking to them. You just like NASA.
Yeah.
And then they just know, like, that's just what they like. There's like NASA. They dig that. Yeah.
Huh.
And these are the kinds of things that we're teaching our kids as homeschools, like that Daddy Jesus is real. We call Asians NAs and SAs. It's just how it works. I mean, like these kinds of things are what we're really not getting taught in public schools nowadays.
Well, that and common sense and logic. And I mean, you've seen the fucking videos where these parents will take these books that were in the library about like adult child relationships and shit. And like, I'm sorry. That has no. There's this outrage about Texas or wherever banned books, and I'm like, dude, they're not banning To Kill a Mockingbird or like books about slavery or the Holocaust or Anne Frank or Harry Potter. Like I'm sorry, I don't think that a book about a 45-year-old man dating a 15-year-old boy has any place in a public school library. I'm sorry.
I think those books should be there as much as the organization called Mambla should be around.
Yeah.
Anyone, not anyone. I don't want to encourage anyone to not listen to this podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you are listening and you're capable of doing it, hit a quick pause button and go to DuckDuckGo and search Mambla.
The founder was a public school teacher.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
No
or vice
shit.
President. Yeah.
Did you look at that?
That was like, because I had to
just look at it.
When I was in college, I had a law studies course I had to take. And one of the Supreme Court cases we did was this teacher sued for free expression because he got fired from the district because he was the vice president of NAMBLA.
Wow.
At the time.
I mean, he
lost.
Of course. I definitely think that generally men and boys should love one another.
Sure.
I just don't think.
Not in a romantic way?
No.
Yeah.
No,
not at all.
I mean, because anybody that I romantically love, I want to fuck.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know anybody that I romantically like that I don't want to fuck.
Right.
There's only really one of them right now.
Yeah.
I say right now because I don't have any future plans, but the world's on its head. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Zombies might come and.
Not zombies, mutants.
Mutants.
It's radioactive.
Is that where we're at now?
It'll be mutants if there's nukes.
Mutants if there's nukes.
Yeah.
Sounds like the new Good Charlotte rendition band name.
Mutants if there's
nukes.
Mutants
if there's nukes. Yeah.
That's their
With their title track, Emo.
Yeah.
I can see them flipping their hair back right now and like crying about public schools. No. So what's the time frame on this? Just so I know, I'm not in any way in a rush at all.
We usually do like an hour, but Dre just disappeared.
Dre disappeared. That's okay. We lost our female cohort. She's the only reason why we were allowed to keep talking. Really.
International Women's Day is canceled.
Yep. Our producer she appears to identify as a binary female. Is that correct? I mean, I'm asking. No, she's not. She said yes.
She nodded her head. Yes.
All I heard, I just saw her shoulders moving. I think I might have offended her.
She doesn't believe in any of that crap.
That crap?
That's that crap.
Is that crap?
John.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Whoever that was, Dre, just now, that was not nearly as cute as that chair. Okay. We were discussing the gender of our producer.
Yeah. We were debating it.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, Caleb was debating it. I was trying to be kind.
But yeah, no. So we were talking about public schools. Still, we were still ranting
public schools.
About
we were ranting about public schools,
about how terrible they are. We were talking about we were talking about how they're grooming children to adult-child relationships and like.
Before the camera cut out, I heard you guys were talking about how people were getting bent out of shape that they were banning books in Texas. Like, no, they're taking pornography out of pre-K, K, first and second and third grade.
It's not like 20 years ago when they were trying to ban like Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Or like books about slavery or the Holocaust. There's literally, even in the deepest of the South, I guarantee you will not find a school that's like pretending slavery didn't happen. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. Like the books that are being banned are fucking repulsive, and I'm sorry, have no business being obtained by children.
I want to be clear,
I don't think it should be illegal to write those books. If you want to sell it at your bookstore, go right the fuck ahead, but don't make it free for children to get and just pick up without an adult supervision.
I don't disagree with you, Caleb.
Yeah.
And Dre, I don't disagree at all, but I definitely want to offer a perhaps slightly contradictory view.
Sure.
Personal fucking responsibility.
Yeah.
That little upright human that my wife and I let out of our person, that we just, we did this thing together and then it came out. That little thing is my fucking responsibility.
Right.
And if it goes and picks up your porn mag, that's my fucking fault. Yeah, it's not their fucking fault because they're innocent children. And it's not your fucking fault. You were a cunt before you put that book on the shelf. You didn't suddenly become a cunt just because my kid picked up your shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry that you were a stupid ass and made that ridiculous fucking book. I don't like it. My kid probably won't. It's going to confuse the shit out of a lot of people, but fuck me. I'm not the book police.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for me to go burning books. I know where that shit leads.
Yep.
I'm not interested in infringing on anybody's rights.
No.
But
yeah.
Right.
Mambla is another fucking thing.
Let's not groom prepubescent children.
I'm pointing to you and saying, yes, what she's saying.
Dude,
I'm pointing to